All right, what's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Darium's Competitive Pokemon. Today's card of the day is Gladion's brand new supporter card from the Crimson Invasion set, and just going to be talking about it. I've heard some competitive players saying that they like this card, they think the thing's good, they think it's got potential. It digs things out of the prize cards, which is situationally useful for some decks. I mean, if you're playing a thin line of something, or maybe one tech card and you want to make sure that you have access to it, Gladion is kind of a selective card in that it can allow you to get one of those cards out of your prizes and play with it, without having to actually take a prize, unlike other prize revealing cards like Town Map and things like that. So some players are saying that Gladion's got potential. I am of the persuasion that I don't think Gladion is all that great. I am not super sold on Gladion. I mean, the card has got this super boss looking full art. I'm not going to lie. I think this thing looks fantastic, from a visual perspective. But, from gameplay, I'm not exactly seeing it, but we'll see. I have been wrong on situations like this before. And, I don't know. I'm going to wait for some players to try and prove me wrong on Gladion. But I'm going to tell you why I don't think Gladion's all that great. I don't think it's going to be seeing a lot of play in the competitive trading card game, and I'll talk about why. So, Gladion is a supporter card out of Crimson Invasion, and you could read here that it says, look at your face-down prize cards and put one of them into your hand. Then, shuffle this Gladion into your remaining prize cards and put them back face down. If you didn't, and you got to shuffle them, right? If you didn't play this Gladion from your hand, it does nothing. So, Gladion, you play the Gladion, you get to look at your prizes, take one, put the Gladion there, shuffle your prizes up, and that's it. So, if, say, you're playing Drampa Garbodor and you play a 1-1 Espeon GX line, you could use Gladion to go fish out your Espeon. Say you prize your Espeon GX, you could use the Gladion, lay for it, and get it pretty early, as soon as you realize maybe you do your turn 1 Bridget and you realize that you got your Eevee, but you prized your Espeon. Turn 2, you can lay for Gladion. Then go ahead, Gladion, go grab the Espeon and fish that out of your deck. Now, that is a valid use for it. Also, if you look through your prizes, Bridget turn 1, and you realize you have three DCE in deck, meaning that you have prized 1, then that means that using Lele for Gladion, just finding that Gladion early, means that you can go and find the DCE turn 2 guaranteed. So there are some uses for it. I do see what some competitive players are finding about it. You could search your prizes and then it's just a guaranteed go grab one of your prizes. And on your turn 1 Bridget, you can figure out what your prizes are. You can figure out if there's something valuable prized. And then, for the rest of the game, Gladion is basically a supporter card that says go search for one of those cards that could be valuable. So it does have that niche use. It is kind of cute for that. And I have to give it to Gladion. It is one of the only cards that I think the only card. There's that other like Pokedex card, something like that, where you get to like swap out your prizes and like shuffle them. So like that is another option. That's an item card. And then there's also Town Map, which just reveals your prizes. So as soon as you start taking prizes, you could just select the ones that you want for the rest of the game. I really like Town Map in some decks, and Town Map has seen success in the past. That other Pokedex card has not seen any success, I don't think, in any competitive list. So Gladion, okay, in expanded format, you could pull this thing back with Versus Seeker. So even if you discard it early, it does have the flexibility to be able to be used throughout the course of the game with Versus Seeker in expanded format, making it, I think, a little more playable. But you're never going to want to play more than one copy of Gladion, probably throughout the course of the game. I can't imagine wanting to use it twice. So, I mean, if you are playing Gladion, you're playing it as a one-of. If you're playing it in standard format, playing a one-of supporter means that you could have to Sycamore it early. You could have to Ultra Ball it away. It might not get used. And I'm just curious as to, like, what percentage of games do you think that you're actually going to pull off the Gladion play? Imagine you're playing Drampa Garbodor and a situation like this arises where you have to use Lele for Bridget on the first turn of the game, and then you want to then go get your Gladion to get the Espeon GX out of your prizes or something like that. Then you have to Lele for Gladion. That means that you have 2 Leles on the bench. If you then combine with the fact that you probably searched out 3 Pokemon For your Bridget, I mean, that's a full bench. So you've already wasted 2 Lele's, and then the both Lele's that you've used have not actually drawn you any cards. So your hand is just deteriorating at that point. You're not playing any active draw cards. I am not the biggest fan of Gladion just because personally I feel like, you should just be taking the prizes. You want to be proactive. So if something's stuck in the prizes, then find out a way to start taking prizes, to be proactive, advance your board state, advance your process towards winning that game, while also just hoping that you could get it out of the prize cards before it's too late and you lose the game because you didn't have access to it. In some decks, you can afford to play things like Town Map, just being able to flip your prize cards over so that if you are proactive, like in a Night March deck or something like that, and obviously Night March is going to be taking some very quick prizes, so you could use Town Map and just make sure that you map out your prizes correctly, take what you need as you need it. If you have a dead hand, you could take a Versus Seeker, Professor Sycamore, something like that off your prizes as soon as you start taking prizes. Gladion is just not doing it for me. In standard format, you're playing your one of Gladion. I just don't see yourself wanting to use it too terribly often, but I guess it is okay. If you prize a DCE, you could go get it with Gladion. If you prize an attacker that you happen to want, you could go get it with Gladion. But it's not a guarantee. I'd rather play something like a Skyla, I think, just going to go guarantee get you a card that you wanted. I'd rather play something that, is just more proactive. I'd rather play a card that draws cards. Not all supporters draw cards anymore, obviously. But I do think that Gladion is just another supporter card that doesn't refresh your hand. It gets you one thing out of the prizes, and that to me just isn't enough. And then you're throwing the Gladion back into the prizes, meaning that if you draw the Gladion off the prizes, I guess then you could Gladion again and go get something else out of your prizes. I guess you could chain it that way if you happen to draw into your Gladion again. I just don't see how often this is going to happen realistically in competitive play. I think drawing cards is just so powerful, and a lot of supporters that you play, you're not just going to want to go select one card. I mean, we did see Misty's Determination. Look at the top 8 cards of your deck. You could select one. I mean, you had to discard a card from your hand in order to play it. But this is not a very powerful supporter card. The go select one thing is not really finding its way into many decks. Skyla has found its way into some decks, but that's because it can just guarantee you, select you a card you need to complete a card combination, something like a rare candy, or to get a game-winning choice band, something like that. Gladion, on the other hand, I think just falls short. The fact that you're only going to have a pool of 6 cards to choose from, and it's not guaranteed that there's going to be anything good in there. In my opinion, instead of wasting a place playing Gladion, say if you have a 1/1 Espeon line, find room for Gladion just in case you prize one of your pieces of Espeon. I would just rather play a 2/1 Espeon GX line. That's just me. If you're playing a Gladion because you play a thin line of something, why don't you just spend that deck space making sure that you have a little bit of a beefier line? Why don't you beef it up to a 2/1 line if you're that worried about it? Beef it up to a 2/2 line if you're that worried about it. To me, Gladion just doesn't really save that much space in the deck building. I don't think that it's going to be a super successful card in either standard or expanded format, but it is certainly interesting. I think the card's worth talking about. Some competitive players are sold on it, but that's just my opinion on the card. So let me know what you guys think of Gladion. Do you think that Gladion has the potential to be a real mainstay in either standard or expanded format? Let me know what you think of Gladion in the comments below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Peace.